So what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Jamaria Pittman, and I'm a hair braider. I braid hair.
Where are you from originally?
I'm not born in Marion, Ohio. I was born on, I don't even know how to say it, like in Fort Hood or on Fort Hood, but I'm a military baby. I was born in Fort Hood, Texas, but I was raised in Marion.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and how you were raised.
My childhood was good. I grew up in the era of like home training. So we grew up in a different time. Like we grew up with respect and just we knew how to act. We knew there was boundaries. We knew there were rules. We knew we were accountable. We had a village. So I grew up, I loved it. I loved my childhood.
So when did you come to Ohio?
I came to Ohio as a baby. So I was definitely raised in Marion, Ohio.
What made you want to get into doing hair?
I'm grandfathered in the hair. My mom's been doing hair my entire life. I've always been around hair. I've always loved doing hair. I've always been interested in hair. So I think I was destined to do hair.
So tell us a little bit about your family now. You have any kids or anything?
I do. I have 3 beautiful babies. I have a son and 2 daughters.
What are some things that you like to go do with them?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Yeah.
My kids are crazy.
They make everything great, don't they?
Everything. Their imagination is it's huge. Their imagination is huge.
So tell us about some struggles that you've endured throughout your life. Some things people might not know about you.
I was contemplating this question prior because I just feel like the last couple of years of my life have been such a journey, such a journey.
Tell us everything you got.
Specifically,
There's no time limit.
I'll make myself more relatable. Like everyone around me knows I love to talk, like conversation, debating, politicking, like that's my thing. I love to ask questions. I love to I'm always interested in how people think. So I watch a lot of interviews, I watch a lot of podcasts, and I distinctly remember it would always stick out to me when people would describe something traumatic that they went through. Yeah. And then they would follow it up with that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Or they would describe like a situation that was just awful. And they would be grateful that they went through it. Yeah. And if I could be honest, I would think those people were like ridiculous. Yeah. Like I would think that they were just reaching. Like there's no way in the world I would rather go through something traumatic than to not. Yeah. But it wasn't until it happened to me. And for me, that was homelessness. Like, it still feels so weird to say. Like, I was 100% homeless. Like, 2 of my three children, my daughters and I, we lived, it was probably about a little over 2 months, we lived in a homeless shelter. Yeah. And for me, like now, the person that I am now, I can honestly say I don't think without experiencing that, I would be half the person that I am.
So how did you end up becoming homeless?
That's the thing. That's one of the greatest things that I think I'm grateful for, just awareness. Like we all see a homeless person on the street and we're like, you're lazy, you don't work, right. You're on the street. We summarize it to just a basic sentence, like you're homeless because of this, when in reality, homelessness is always a paragraph. There's always a series of things that happen. It's always an effect, multiple things have to go into being homeless. It's never just a simple answer. And for me, I mean, like I said, I've been on a journey. So many things were happening at that same time. Like my kid's father, he was sent to prison for 11 years. Like financially, he was a big part of my stability. So that was an effect. So just a lot of other things. Maybe losing that help of another parent at the time, it just made me, which still to this day, I'm kind of the same way. Like it just made me too proud. Yeah. Like a lot of people will be like, well, how the heck did you end up homeless and you have a whole family? Like, how in the world were you at a homeless shelter with your kids? And, you have so many people that care about you. And it was like, for me, my pride just maybe overrode my rationality. Yeah. which again is a journey. I'm grateful that I had to learn that lesson. Like, I'm grateful that you do have people that love you, and they would love to help you when you need. So being prideful, it doesn't always bring the best results.
So go ahead and run us through a normal day of what you would do when you were homeless.
It's crazy. Like, it's so crazy. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, I remember even it was almost like an out of body experience. Like, it's something that you can't explain to someone that's never been through it. Like, I can still, how they say, like, you can feel memories. Like, I can still feel how afraid I was the day that I had to, like, go and sign in and check in. Like, I want to try not to cry. But just, I was so afraid. Yeah. I had no idea what a homeless shelter was like. You know what I mean? Like, you see things on TV and you see movies and you think all these horror stories and the worst of the worst. And not only am I at the shelter, but my kids are also here. So I have to protect them. Mm-hmm. So I just remember being so afraid. And it's like, I don't want to preach, but in my homelessness, I feel like I got to know God in such an intimate way. Like, explaining to someone how it feels to live at a homeless shelter with your children, there's no words. Like, there's no words to explain how that feels. And it's like certain feelings and certain things that I had to go through and grow through in that experience, like, only God knew. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, only God was with me in those moments. So it's just another thing on the list of, like I said, I'm grateful for that experience because the exchange and the things that I got in return were just worth so much.
Right. So were your kids old enough to understand what was really going on when all that was happening?
My kids are amazing. Like, my kids, they're just so amazing. Like, they just, as long as I'm confident, they'll go with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I put on my best face and I say, this is, we're good. I called the homeless shelter the big house. Yeah. So they would, when they would tell people. So
you kind of made it into a cool thing.
Yeah, I made it into a cool thing. So yeah. I'm like, they would tell people, like, where have you guys been now? We've been at the big house. Like, and all our friends are there. And like, it's, you know what I mean? So.
And how old were they at this time?
They were probably about 4 and 5. About 4 and 5. But they were just so resilient. Like, they say kids are so resilient. Like, and kids are so just, like I said, as long as I made them comfortable, they accepted.
Yeah. So did you have to leave and check in again every day?
Yeah. So there was like rules. When I was there, you only had 90 days. Yeah. To find housing. So it's like, it wasn't just you check in and it's a hotel and you could chill. Like, no, there was rules. There was a curfew. Like, the whole time I was there, I had a job. So I worked third shift. So I had a job. So that helped me. You know what I mean? It helped me be able to save money and get a house. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So what kind of mental toll do you think that took on you being in there? I know that your kids really didn't care that much because you made it more of a fun thing for them and they didn't really realize what was going on. But to you, what did that...
To me? Yeah. I don't think that I could just sufficiently describe like how broken I felt. Yeah. I don't think I could describe just how much, I think shame was the most prevalent feeling. I swore like everyone to secrecy, like, my mom, my closest friends, like, so it's like no one knew where I was at, which has kind of always been my thing. I'm kind of a private person, so I don't know. I just felt, it was just despair. Like, I feel like what comes to mind is the Bible talks about sorrow and it talks about despair. Yeah. And I feel like life doesn't, which is a good thing, but everybody in life doesn't get to experience that. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's sadness and there's loss and there's things, but despair and sorrow, like, I feel like those just were words that just described the state of mind I was in. I was in, which is crazy because I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Yeah. So it's like to think, which makes me proud of myself, because to think that I was going through all of those things and I was still alive. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I was still alive. Like, to be here now and to imagine how I never thought I would be here. Like, just to wake up every day and force myself to smile, yeah. You know, to greet my kids, they deserve to make it as normal as I could.
Absolutely.
So I had to grind every day. Like, I had to get up. I had to be a mom. I had to be a friend. I had to be a sister. I had to be... No one knew. They had no idea what was going on the inside, but I had to keep going.
So was the Word of God one of the main ways that you coped with your situation?
The only way.
Yeah.
The only way. Like, it was so crazy because I've been freaking out all week. Like I said, I'm a private person. So the idea of me telling, you know what I mean, getting on here is just like, what? But I remember the first night that I was at the shelter. And on one hand, you know, I'm relieved. Yeah. I'm relieved. I'm hugely relieved. Like, I'm so grateful because we have somewhere to be. But on the other hand, I said, like, it's despair. Like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Like, it's just despair. And I prayed and I told God, like, if you ever let me make it out of this situation, like, I will never, ever be too embarrassed to tell someone to believe in you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never, ever miss a chance to tell someone, like, if you trust God, he'll really, really come through for you. So in those moments, like, I guess the situation, like, in turn, it just strengthened my belief. It strengthened my belief that no matter where you are, like, God will meet you there. No matter what you do, like, you can mess up 1,000 times. Like, I still mess up to this day. You know, I still fall short on many things, but it's like God will meet me wherever I am. And I'm grateful for that. Like, I'm grateful that I got so low that all I had was him. You know what I mean? I got to a place where no one could relate to me. No one can relate to being homeless. No one can relate to not having anything. You know what I mean? So it's like in that moment, all I had was God.
I mean, just go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, just imagine how many people that are in a similar situation and they just feel so broke. But if they were to see this video and see how good you're doing now, yeah. And you were in that situation where you felt like there was no way out, yeah. Just how much that would help them. Man. You know what I mean?
I wish I could, like, my friends know, like, I'm not perfect, but I believe, like, God is just amazing. Like, yeah. Just the things that he can do. And it's like, I would love to tell anyone I could, just when you get to the point when you have no one else, yeah. Like, that's when he's going to show up the best for you. Like, that's when he's going to show you, like, I'm all you need. Yeah. Like, we get so caught up in, like, I don't want to be preachy, but we get so caught up in, like, church and religion and what do you believe and where do you go to church and all that stuff. But it's so simple. Like, when I was a kid, we had this youth pastor and his name was Pastor Bill Harris. And he told me, like, we were in a session and he said, like, you can talk to God however you want to. You know what I mean? Like, talk to God how you talk to your friends. Talk to God how you talk to, you know what I'm saying? Bring him to your level, yeah. And talk to him. And that was, like, life-changing for me. And it's like, since then, I've been able to imagine God as my friend. You know what I mean? I can take him from up here and bring him closer, and he can just be there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So were you always able to get into the homeless shelter, or were there some times where you weren't able to get in?
That's the crazy thing. So I actually was in the shelter in Mansfield. because Marion, they're full. And it's like, it was really hard to find somewhere. I remember that. And that stuck with me, like, a part of what I want to accomplish with my life is to have a homeless shelter. You know what I mean? Be a part of a homeless shelter in whatever way. But my dream is to have my own. But knowing how difficult it was for me to find a space, like, that was hurtful. It was hurtful because thank God I was able to find somewhere, but think about all the other people that weren't. You know what I mean? Like, I think about all the people that, you know, if the homeless shelter is full and that's your last option, like, what can you do?
Right, yeah. So when you were able to get in, what were the living conditions like in there?
It wasn't bad. It was it was a dorm room setup.
Because I know you said, like, you can't simplify the reason for why somebody became homeless.
Facts.
But as we all know, there are some people who are hooked on drugs and things like that.
That's the thing, like, also, like, the experience in itself. Our pastor always talks about, like, God, give me fresh eyes. Like, give me a new perspective. So it's different to see a prostitute on the corner, you know, and drive by and keep going. Like, it's different to see someone on the corner that's schizophrenic and they're bipolar and they're talking to themselves. You know, it's easy to keep going. But when you live with these people and you're sitting at breakfast with your kids and you're eating dinner with them, like, it becomes a totally different experience. So everything that you can think of, I had to live with, like, everything you could think of. My favorite person in the world, I'll try not to cry, but my roommate, her name was Miss Lisa. And she was a thug. Like, there's no other way to put it, 100,000%. Like, she was a thug. Like, Miss Lisa was a thug. She was showing me, like, her bullet holes and she had a scar from neck to neck. Like, just straight up thug. Like, she'll rob, she'll steal, she'll whatever. Like, a thug. So she became my roommate, and I'm just like, our introduction, she's like showing me her bullet holes. And I'm just like, God, like, Jesus be a fence. Like, I gotta sleep with this lady. Like, this is crazy. And in turn, like, she ended up, like, really just giving me a love that I needed at that moment. You know what I mean? Someone that from the outside you would throw away, someone you would be like, this is a crazy person. And in that moment, she cared for me and she encouraged me and she loved me in a way that was just perfect, that I needed. So it just taught me, it was a big lesson in, like, people are people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I see you, I see what you have, I see how you live, but at the end of the day, you're a person and you have a story and you have a heart, and we should pay more attention to each other.
That's, I think God was kind of working through her because He knew that you needed that.
For sure. Yeah. Like, my whole persona, which I haven't always been this way, but into adulthood, like, I'm kind of a confident person. Like, I would consider myself a confident person. So not too many things scare me. And that lady scared me. Like, she scared me. And to a point where I'm like, my first mind was, I don't want to live with her. Like, I don't want to stay with her. I'm scared. Like, what if she was on like 30 different medications, you know, mental illness. So there was so many things going on and I was scared. But it's like, she was just so honest with me. You know, she offered, she didn't have nothing and she offered what she did have to me. You know what I mean? She told me every day, like, your kids are so lucky to have you as a mom. She just was amazing to me. And to have nothing, there's a sense of humility amongst people that have less. That I think that we kind of, with our society and our world, like, everyone wants to have the most. Yeah. Everyone wants to have everything. So we miss the sense of humility in everything. Like, no matter what you have, we're all people. Like, no matter what you have, we all need to be loved a certain way. Like, no matter what you have. or what you do or what you want to become. Like it all starts with you being a person.
Yeah. And the one person, like you said, you don't get scared easily, but the one person that scared you was probably the last person that you figured would show you the love that you needed.
Would show me love.
And that's who it was.
That's who showed me love.
So how do you feel now?
Now I just feel extremely grateful. I just feel so fortunate to be like on the other side of things I never thought I would come out of. Obviously, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still working towards my dreams, my goals, constantly trying to be a better mom.
Do your kids understand now what they went through back then?
No.
No. Have you ever talked with them about it or anything like that?
No.
No?
The thing that I have noticed about my kids, which makes me so happy, they all have a heart for other people. Yeah. They all have a heart for other people. And they just show me examples all the time of just kindness and compassion and just, we want to help other people and we want to take care of other people. And that's what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? They'll tell me all the time, like, go help them, Mom, because that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. So that makes me really proud of the people that they're going to be.
You think they picked up on some of the lessons that you picked up on? Because I know I hear people say a lot of times that your kids watch you even when you don't realize they're watching you.
Oh yeah, that's what my mom, I remember to this day, like whenever I have a meltdown, my mom will be like, stop crying, your kids are watching. Like she'll tell me like, get it together immediately. Like, so I always have that constant reminder that whatever I do, they are watching. So I have to make sure I'm doing the right things.
So what would you tell somebody dealing with a similar situation, going through some of the same things?
It's more of what I would tell other people about people that are in the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, they always say the trenches teach you things that the mountaintops never could. You know what I mean? Like, so just being in the situation of not having anything. And then, so the great thing about the homeless shelter I was at was that it was a community thing. Like the community all pitched in to take care of the people at the shelter. So people would, donate clothes, they would donate food, they would donate everything you could think of. And that just inspired me. Like, if we all just gave what little bit extra we have, we could take care of someone else. Like, what you think is so small means the world to the next person. You know what I mean? Like, having a bed to sleep in with clean sheets, like, that meant the world to me. You know what I mean? Like, something as small as, like, not being outside, not being cold. Like, every time, it was just the other day, like, it was really cold outside and we were inside and the kids were just like, oh, it's so warm. Like, we're just so happy that it's warm. Like, so they already have the sense to, like, take care of the people that don't. That's what I would hope to tell, like, my message to other people. Just, everyone doesn't have it like you have it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And what the reason is, it doesn't always matter. It almost never matters.
They're human at the end of the day.
Yeah, because once you're in that situation, like, who cares how I got there? You know what I mean? Like, who cares how I ended up homeless, but I'm homeless now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if we all could just make it less about maybe what it looks like and consider the person, consider how they feel, consider how you can help. Yeah. How you can help. Like, if you see someone that you can help, like, be compelled to do it. Mm-hmm. That's the message that I would love for people to hear.
That's a great message. I know you said you're usually a private person.
Super private.
What made you change your mind and want to come on here and share your story?
I don't know. It was just a combination of things. Like, I wanted to please God. Like, I wanted to give him the glory of, you brought me from that to this, and I'm grateful. And also just maybe to compel people to be honest. Like, I feel like honesty is like, it bridges the gap to so many things. Like, people could see me as a successful business owner, or, you know what I mean? They could see so many things and not have a clue who I am.
I didn't.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they could see, I'm funny. Like, I'm funny. So it's like, I'm constantly making people laugh, and it's like, I'm bubbly, but it's like, you would never know that I've been on such the extreme. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just wanted honesty. I just wanted people to be honest, and just to tell the chance to tell the next person, like, you can do it. Like, so many people told me, like, you're gonna make it out of this. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, you're one day, like, you'll be on the other side. And I couldn't even imagine it. Like, I couldn't even imagine being okay. So it's like, you really will. If I could tell someone who's in the worst of the worst situation that they logically can't even think their way out of, like, you really will get through it. Like, you really will.